Imagine if a huge, violent, rioting mob of white supremacists had viciously beaten a lone, defenseless black woman in the street. Wall-to-wall headlines, sustained media coverage, mass protests, calls for a racial reckoning. Something similar happens in Chicago and it's barely even a news story. See if you can figure out why. And that's all I can play, otherwise they'd censor this video. Just one incident from a weekend of absolute chaos in downtown Chicago, as yet another Democrat-run city resembles the purge in scenes of utter lawlessness and bedlam.
Oh shit, they broke the window! Oh shit!
Play it again, Sam.
Wherever you have to go, just get away. Because there's no fixing this.
Posted a news video today showing a group of teens beating the hell out of a lone white woman in Chicago for no reason. Replies! But according to Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the vast majority of young people that came downtown did so because it was great weather and an opportunity to enjoy the city. She says, quote, a few came out with different intentions. A few. Really? A few, maybe 3 or 4, but not to be outdone, Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson responded to the riots by defending the rioters. Let's take a look at how this is being framed in the media. I'm looking at news about Chicago in Ground News, the app and website I use to check all sides of breaking news as it's being covered. And just to show how much this isn't being talked about in the news, McDonald's new hamburger has 47 sources reporting on it, while this story is being covered by just 14 sources. And 64% of those sources are right-leaning outlets. Even more of a blind spot on the mayor-elect defending the teenage rioters. There's 13 total sources, with 100% of those right-leaning. Scrolling through the headlines, we see most sources are reporting something similar. Chicago Mayor-elect defends teenage rioters, says it's not constructive to demonize them. It is not constructive to demonize youth who have otherwise been starved of opportunities in their own communities. Oh, don't demonize the poor babies. They're only smashing up stores, looting gas stations, destroying vehicles and violently assaulting people because they're bored and undervalued. We don't need more police, just more social workers. That should fix it. This is the same guy who just days before the riots asserted that, quote, state-sponsored policing should not apply to black people. Yeah, how's that working out for you, mate? Even more surprising is what's not in this story. From Ground News, we can see who owns the sources reporting on this issue, and 0% are government-owned sources, with the majority of these sources from media conglomerates, independent and wealthy private owners. And in fact, 0% of these sources are based out of Chicago or even Illinois itself. Check out more of this story at ground.news/PJW. And make sure to subscribe for unlimited access if you want to avoid blind spots in the media and see where your news is coming from. Subscribe before April 24th and get 30% off their top subscription. That's ground.news/PJW. But don't worry, because Chicago authorities are getting tough. They've got a hardcore plan that's guaranteed to put a stop to all this. Bag checks at entry points and more youth and outreach workers. Problem solved.
Every grocery store looks like this. Everything is either on the floor. Look at this. Can't even get no fucking food for my kids, G.
Who could have possibly envisaged that defund the police would have emboldened violent criminals and turned streets into anarchic hellholes? Who could have foreseen that major retailers would respond to being continually robbed and ransacked by closing down their stores? But it's not the people who are doing the robbing and ransacking who are to blame. It's Walmart's fault.
Walmart! You should be absolutely ashamed of yourself. You are the reason.
Look at this. Came in the store to try to buy something because I'm not a thief. Look at this.
Meanwhile, as teenagers run riot in cities across the nation, the media is running another nascent Trayvon Martin George Floyd 2.0 op in the form of another clever little piece of race baiting. 84-year-old homeowner hit with felony charges for shooting black teen he said was pulling on his exterior door in suspected break-in.
The teenager Ralph Yarl is now out of the hospital at home recovering tonight.
Andrew Lester tonight charged with felony assault in the first degree and armed criminal action.
Andrew D. Lester faces the rest of his days behind bars. He claims that Ralph Yarl pulled on his door at night like he was trying to break in, and that's why he shot at him. Lester told police during an interview that he'd just lay down when he heard the doorbell ring. He picked up a revolver and opened the interior door. He saw a black male pulling on the exterior door and said he thought someone was trying to break in. He fired 2 shots. No words were exchanged, according to Lester, who told police he was protecting himself and expressed concern for the victim. So it's basically one person's word against another. But the media, in unison, have all come to the same conclusion that Yarl was simply ringing the wrong doorbell. Wait a minute, was he ringing the wrong doorbell or entering the wrong house? Doesn't matter, because a bunch of celebrities have all decided, with zero evidence, that this was some kind of racially motivated attack. I mean, Lester's white after all, therefore he's immediately guilty before even being given the chance of proving himself innocent. After serial hoaxer Sean King threatened to dox Lester, the 84-year-old's home was immediately identified by BLM.
In the home where the shooting happened, vandals have spray painted the house, and it looks like someone threw some eggs there as well.
Vandalized and then surrounded by a protest mob.
Stand up! Fight back! Stand up! Fight back! Stand up! Fight back! Stand up! Fight back!
Yarl's GoFundMe quickly surpassed over $2.5 million in donations, and the issue even garnered the attention of the President of the United States. Joe Biden spent 20 minutes with Yarl's family and invited him to the White House. Right, because it's completely normal for the Commander-in-Chief to embroil himself in a domestic crime incident in Kansas City, isn't it? That's not strange at all. Kamala Harris, Jussie Smollett's most ardent supporter, also pushed the agreed-upon narrative to a national audience on Twitter. Again, completely normal. Now, it may very well turn out that Lester overreacted and is criminally liable for the shooting. But why on earth has this unfortunate incident been elevated to the status of national concern with top-level White House involvement? Utterly bizarre. Now, thanks to legacy media outlets, celebrities, and the Biden administration itself, any potential jury will be under overwhelming pressure to convict Lester, denying him of the right to a fair trial. Just in case more maniacal mobs of teenagers decide to enact vigilante justice by ransacking another major city. Beginning to see how this works yet? Really makes you think.
You just have to escape.
Get early access to videos, exclusive live streams, and personally DM me. You've seen how much I get demonetized all the time. Well, this is how you support me. By subscribing at pauljosephwatson.locals.com. Please click the link in the description.